Parents of killers, what happened? My son was 14 when he started pushing his dresser against his bedroom door at night. When I asked why, he said he just felt safer that way. I thought it was anxiety. Then I noticed he'd stopped eating dinner with us. Rick would ask where he was going, and my son would mumble something about homework and disappear upstairs. Rick was my boyfriend of almost a year, moved in 8 months ago. At first, things seemed fine. They'd watch football together. But around month 6, my son got quiet, started wearing hoodies in summer. One Saturday, I found my son in the garage at 6 a.m. doing push-ups. His arms were shaking. He'd been out there since 5. Rick's orders. I confronted Rick. He said my son was too soft. That boys need discipline. I told him to back off. That night, I heard yelling upstairs. Rick was standing in my son's doorway. My son was on his knees doing push-ups, crying. When his arms gave out, Rick made him start over. I pushed past Rick and pulled my son up. Told Rick if he ever did that again, he was out. Rick apologized, said he'd overreacted. For 2 weeks, things seemed normal. Then I noticed my son wouldn't take off his hoodie, even inside with the AC running. One morning, I found him asleep on his bed. His sleeve had ridden up, 5 circular burns on his forearm, cigarette burns. I grabbed his arm. He woke up panicked, started crying, said Rick had been testing his pain tolerance, that real men don't flinch. He showed me 7 more burns on his ribs. I went downstairs, told Rick to get out. He said it was his house too. I grabbed my phone to call 911. Rick snatched it and threw it against the wall. My son came running down. Rick turned toward him and said, "This is your fault." My son ran. Rick went after him. I grabbed Rick's arm. He shoved me into the counter. My son locked himself in the bathroom. Rick pounded on the door, then grabbed his keys and left. I called the police with my son's phone, filed a restraining order. They said it would be active in 72 hours. For 3 days, my son actually smiled again. Then the texts started. Apologies at first, then threats. "You ruined my life. You're going to fix this." My son blocked him. Rick used different numbers. By the end of the day, 17 blocked numbers. The school called Monday. Rick was in the parking lot, just sitting there, watching. The resource officer made him leave. An hour later, he was across the street, still watching. I picked my son up early. Rick followed us home, parked 4 houses down. I installed cameras that night. At 2:47 a.m., alert. Rick was on our porch, staring at the camera, just standing there for 6 minutes. The police said standing on a porch isn't illegal. The next night, he was in our backyard, standing under my son's window. Items started appearing. A burnt cigarette. My son's school ID cut into pieces. Each morning, something new. My son stopped sleeping, would sit up with a baseball bat all night. The school counselor said we should move, that Rick was waging psychological warfare. We packed everything, put the house up for sale. Rick texted, "You think moving will help? I'll find you." Police arrested him for violating the restraining order. 3 days in jail, made bail. Texted my son, "You'll pay for what you did." We moved in with my sister 2 towns over. New address, new school. No one knew where we were. For 6 days, nothing. My son started sleeping again, started smiling. I thought we'd escaped. Day 7. I was at work. My sister called. Someone at the door asking for me. She looked through the peephole. Rick. I told her to lock herself and my son in the bathroom. Call 911. I was 30 minutes away. When I got there, police cars everywhere. My sister on the porch. I asked where my son was. She pointed inside. I ran in screaming his name. Bathroom door closed. Locked. I knocked. No answer. Knocked harder. Finally, the lock clicked. Door opened slowly. My son was standing there holding my sister's ceramic curling iron, hands shaking, covered in blood. Behind him, Rick was on the floor, not moving, head cracked against the bathtub. My son whispered that Rick kicked in the front door, found him hiding, grabbed him by the throat, started dragging him out. My son grabbed the curling iron off the counter, swung as hard as he could. Rick fell, hit his head. My son hit him twice more, until he stopped moving. Rick died 4 days later. Fractured skull, brain bleed. The DA reviewed everything. The burns, the stalking, the break-in. Ruled it self-defense, no charges.